Okay, I lied. This is actually my favorite soup. I said the seafood chowder was, but this is really my favorite soup. It is a copycat Panera squash soup. And guess what today is? It's Super Saturday. I've set out all my ingredients to make the soup. That just makes things easier. I was feeling a little lazy. It called for 2 pounds of squash. So I chopped up a butternut squash, and it was not 2 pounds. And I didn't feel like chopping up another squash, so I had this in my freezer, and I'm going to take advantage of it when I can. So, if you feeling lazy, you can make the soup with cubed frozen butternut squash. It'll still be absolutely delicious. Or if you have some squash from the fall to use up, chop it up, and this is a good way to use at least 2 pounds of your squash. And you will not regret it. It's very, very good soup. And if you've ever been to Panera and had it, you know what I'm talking about. So here are the ingredients it's going to call for. So here is the spice blend. I'll give you the details when I add it to the dish. It calls for some butter, a little pumpkin puree, or canned pumpkin, whatever you want to call it, onion, 2 ounces of cream cheese, about a cup of carrots, 2 cups of either apple cider or apple juice, not apple cider vinegar. That will not taste good. Do not do that. Again, the squash. It calls for some heavy whipping cream, and it calls for vegetable broth. I did not have any, so I happily used up some of my chicken broth. If you're a vegetarian, you wouldn't want to do that, but since we're not, I don't think it's going to change the taste too much. So those are all my ingredients, and a little olive oil too. And I'll get started. Yum! Added some olive oil to my pan. Chopped onions. So the nice thing about this recipe is at the end you're going to puree it. Use your immersion blender, whatever you want to do. You do not have to cube or dice things really small to hide the veggies from your family, because you're going to puree it. So I'm going to let these cook, and once again, we will throw some more veggies in the pot. Okay, the onions are starting to cook, so I'm going to throw in my carrots. Same thing, you don't have to chop them real small because you're going to puree them, but I want them to get a little bit of flavor from cooking in the olive oil. So I'm going to add them to the onions, and that should hopefully enhance the flavor a little bit. So I was thinking about what I just said about adding the carrots to give it a little bit more spice, and I thought the depth of spice would be better if I added at least part of my seasoning to this, so the carrots and the onions had that nutty flavor. So I'm going to shake a little bit of this spice in. So I shook a little of that spice in because I want everything to taste like that spice. And that spice is, let me see if I can remember without looking at the recipe. It's cinnamon, it is brown sugar, salt, and nutmeg. Oh, and curry. Oh, that's the most important one. Curry. So the thing about curry I don't think people realize is curry is pretty much just a mix of different spices. So you could like one type of curry and not like another type of curry. I'm always fascinated when people say, I don't like curry, because curry is literally a bunch of spices that come from, usually associated with a Middle Eastern country, India, Pakistan, anywhere around in there. But depending on your curry, it can include a whole number of different spices. So if you don't like curry, keep trying, or else mix your own curry. I think you would eventually find a curry that you would like. And don't write off all curries because you've had some American spice curry that you don't like. Keep trying them until you find one you like, because usually when you find one you like, you'll absolutely love it. Okay, if I had smell-o-vision, I would be the #1 rated TV show on any network, but I don't. So I'm a little YouTuber, and that's just fine with me. Anyway, I'm going to start adding my squash. I'm going to add my squash. It's kind of heavy. It's in a bowl. Listen to that sizzle. That's sizzling good. I'm going to let that squash cook a little. And I'm going to throw the rest of those spices in, because I want that squash to taste like those spices and be so delicious. It smells so good in here right now. I used to live in California for many, many years, and whenever anybody from usually from India or Pakistan would cook some of their native foods, the apartment building would smell so delicious, and I would be so envious, and I would always want to learn how to cook those delicious smelling dishes. Okay, I am going to now add my liquid. Someday I'm going to do a video of me trying to video myself cooking this food. I'm precariously sitting on the edge of the counter trying to get these shots. Anyway, maybe I'll make a blooper reel. So here is my apple juice. And next I'm going to add this chicken stock, which the recipe calls for vegetable stock. But to me, whatever you have is good and will be delicious. Now I'm going to let that cook for quite a while, soften up, because I'm going to eventually want to use my immersion blender and make it all mucho yummy. So this has been cooking for a while. Look at that. I am going to add some more ingredients. This is about a cup of pumpkin puree. That's going to add a little bit of sweetness to the recipe. And then this is 2 ounces of cream cheese and, I don't know, some butter. I just cut off a hunk and added it in. It looks like about 4 tablespoons. Woo! Look at that. That's looking good. Alright, now I have some heavy whipping cream. It's about half of it. I don't want to have any left, so I'm just going to add the whole thing. You don't want to have any left over. So I'm going to use my immersion blender, and I'm going to puree Probably my favorite kitchen utensil is my immersion blender. And definitely for making soups. The immersion blender is wonderful for making soups. Here is my soup. It is the Copycat Panera squash soup, and it looks so good. I can't wait any longer, and I'm going to eat it up.